Hi everyone, I'm Stan from Eagle Vision, here again with Justin Gehde. Welcome Justin.
Hi Stan, great to be here with you.
Great to see you. So we're talking about tips and insights that Justin, from his own journey as well as interviewing a lot of experienced developers on Property Developer Podcast, has picked up. Last time we talked about some of the aspects of the selling phase, and today we're going to talk about, I guess, some of the general insights and things that Justin has picked up that are fairly important. So Justin, I guess what would be number one as a general tip?
Yeah, Stan, there's some really good ideas that I've picked up talking to people on the podcast, and a couple of them I think really valuable for people to keep in mind. And the first one is about setting your own goals and not the goals of the bank. And what I mean by that is the bank will have a different idea about what they want you to do and how they want you to do it than you will. And what I mean by that is the bank's going to be very conservative about how they either fund you, or the amount of money that they fund you, or the amount of projects that they'll fund you at one time. That isn't necessarily going to help you get to where you want to go. So make sure that you're bringing on consultants or advisors who can help you get to where you want to go and not to where the bank wants to go. This is around being prepared to adapt if lending conditions change. At the moment, that is pretty salient because they seem to be changing every week. So we've moved out of a period where money was being thrown around and there was no issues being able to get funding to a point now where it's actually getting harder and harder every week to secure funding. And so you need to be prepared for that. What's going to happen if banks change their loan to value ratios or the costs that they'll be prepared to fund? Or will they provide a GST facility that you'll be able to draw down on? So if those numbers change, what are you going to do? Are you going to have to tip in more money? How are you going to get that money? So you just really need to be prepared to adapt. Well, you really need to consider how much extra debt you're prepared to take on. We never think that our projects are going to fail, or we're always prepared to accept the market risk, but you need to decide whether you really are prepared to take on that extra level of debt. Do you want more debt so you end up with less profit, or do you happy to have bigger profit on a smaller project that perhaps where you take less debt? So it's prudent to think about that and your risk profile, what you're prepared to take on, because you don't want to flame out. One of the consistent messages I keep getting from people that I talk to is around don't skimp on your consultants. It can be quite easy to just see them as a number on the paper, on the spreadsheet. But if you get really good consultants, they will be able to save you time and money. Now, you may need to pay a little bit more than what you wanted to, but if you get the right people around the table telling you good advice, you'll definitely save money in the long run. I think we've talked before about if you spend 10 or 15% more, say, on your design, you might save 30 or 40% on your construction costs. The last one is really about challenging your own limiting beliefs. So it's really fear that holds us all back from doing bigger and better things. So just be aware that we all have fears and they're all holding us back, and to do some work around, is that really something that you want to hold you back? So a bit of deep introspection, a bit of thought about where you really want to get to can be helpful, and perhaps taking on some advisors or a mentor could be a really good way of pushing through that fear, because there's always someone who's done something bigger and better in the developing game than most of us. Yeah, so definitely start thinking about setting your own goals rather than the bank's goals. Be prepared to adapt when things change, particularly around lending conditions. Consider how much debt you're prepared to take on. Don't skimp on your consultants, because they can help you save money and time in the long run. And then finally, just challenge those limiting beliefs, set yourself bigger goals, and you'll be surprised what you can achieve.
Fantastic. Look, Justin, thanks so much again for your time. I suppose for a lot more interviews and other resources, check out propertydeveloperpodcast.com for more, episodes. Tune into those. And we look forward to seeing you again down the track. Thanks again.